Ooh, excuse my robe, but what's happening, people? It's good to see y'all this morning. Happy Sun, or excuse me, I was going to say happy Sunday, happy Saturday, with the vibes. Tis a
It feels like a
beautiful
Sunday though.
day.
I don't know why.
It definitely does feel like a Sunday. Yesterday was a weird day too. All these days this week have just felt crazy and not like the ones that they actually are. It's wild,
Yeah.
but
I agree. I agree.
you know. But in that,
Yeah.
I'm excited to really kick off this next book, y'all. Like, this is definitely a different one. I literally just finished the reading for today. Like, just finished chapter 3 as we were sitting here listening to the last little beats of that song. And this book is different, man, so I'm excited to dive into it. Are there any lucky takers that want to kick us off today? That's my question.
I'll go first today.
What's up, ladies first? Let's go, Amber.
What's up, guys?
What's poppin'?
Good morning, everybody. Grateful to be here, grateful for this space. I'm just very grateful for how divinely aligned all of us are, and even in like picking these books because they're so perfectly timely. Um, the monk sold his Ferrari. So in chapter 1, the wake up call, he, he was burnt out and like he fainted, and I really like resonated with that. Like some of the notes that I wrote down was like him collapsing. Can I mute y'all?
Yeah, sorry. Here I go.
I just can't remember this. Um, it's like that wake up call. Like when we're out of alignment, something's not going to feel right, and just because like success, the way that success is, like we have to really start to get grounded what that really, really means for us and make sure that we're not chasing a success that we think that we want because of what we've been told and what we've been conditioned to believe. And I talk about this a lot in Powerful Creator, like us getting in tune with our nervous system. That is the same thing as getting in tune with the Holy Spirit. Getting in tune with the Holy Spirit and tuning in to your nervous system, those align a lot because your body and your spirit and your mind are all connected. They're all one. And so when you tune in and you ask yourself how you're feeling, that is how you also tune in to spirit, how you tune in to source. It's physically the same thing. And so we have to just be able to trust ourselves and trust to know that we do have that connection, that we can tune into that. And so the reason why I'm bringing that up is because you can feel when you're out of alignment in your body, and your body is a really good representation of what's going on the inside. And I really resonated this a lot because in parts of my life right now, I'm having a wake up call, physically. Like I've been doing this work for years. And so it's not like it's the first time, but as we progress and as we continue on this journey, like it never ends. And we continuously, get different wake up calls, we continuously grow and have, certain levels of breakthroughs where we're reaching different standards. And that's what's really happening for me right now. Like, I'll just be transparent with you. Over the next 3 days, I'm doing a fast with my mentor, and it's a spiritual fast. And it's like we have our juices and our purees over the next 3 days, and we're gonna put our phones away and just like be with ourselves and God. And so this call is gonna be my last like interaction with anybody until Tuesday. And I'm really excited for that because it's so timely because I am so fucking frustrated, to be 100% honest with you. And it's nothing like in particular, it's just as we're growing and developing, like basically there's a part of me that is out of alignment. There's a part of me that is out of integrity, and it's not my conscious self. What's happening, like whenever he talked about in like he had to get away from his life so he can, transform. And I spend a lot of time with my family, and I think what's happening right now is I'm too close to the problem sometimes, and sometimes it's not always the easiest to have a positive mindset and to find a higher perspective and to see the other side. Sometimes when you're too close to the problem, it's hard when you start to get reminded consistently of how many problems you do actually have to solve. Sometimes there are moments where it's not so easy, and that's why I bring up like the health thing, because with me, like a couple of months ago in Powerful Creator, I did a series over our cycles. And as women, we have cycles that we have to learn how to start honoring, because we weren't taught that. We weren't taught that we had to like honor them and move throughout our life like with them. And so one, we had to learn that for ourselves, like just coming up, like that information is out here. And so we're learning it, right? Learning it, learning how to move through our cycles, learning how to honor the different phases, learn about them. And the reason why that's a big deal is that information is new for us. And so now we're doing it, right? So I did a whole series on that. And then what was frustrating for me personally afterwards was my cycle personally is out of sync. And the reason I'm talking about this just so transparently is because it's real, and something that like almost, like women go through. And so something that I deal with is PCOS, which is a hormone imbalance. And when I really like continued my studies and I like did all this stuff to understand like what it really was, at the end of the day, it's just manifested survival mode. And I believe 100% that all disease can be cured 100%. And I'm not going to do what they tell me to do, like, which is, well, like what like Western medicine wants me to do, which is like just get on birth control and take all these medications and pills and like this and that. And I don't, like, I trust in Western medicine, but I also do believe in like holistic health. And that's a really big deal for me. And so I am now having a wake up call and hitting a certain level with myself where if like if I really say who I am, I really believe in what I believe in, I know that I can heal this. I know that I can regulate my cycle, because it is so frustrating having an irregular cycle. Like the reason why everything I just said combined is because when having this hormone imbalance, when the negative thoughts come and I don't feel good, it feels like death. Like I literally feel like I understand why people kill themselves. Like I get it. Like, like even like I'm a very powerful person. I have a lot of power. I have all the systems around me to set me up. And still there are moments and days where I'm like, what's the fucking point? And I know if I feel like that, having all the systems that I have set up for myself and having all the belief that I have up for myself, then I know other people feel that way too. And so like I don't blame them, but I know that's not true. And I know that, that it's just what my, thoughts are thinking, like, what's happening conscious or like subconsciously. And I'm not a victim at all, like I'm not a victim to this whatsoever. I know that it's a part of my story for a reason, to heal it and to be able to get on the other side. And so like I really related with this story of just like I started to like just talk to myself and have that real like raise that standard for myself of like, I remember like what you need to do. I know it's extremely inconvenient, extremely hard, but whatever, like if you say you want what you want, these are the next steps, and so I really related with like the wake up call part, because that's what I've been dealing with over the past honestly my entire life, like ever since I can't even remember. So lastly, there was like one last thing I wanted to say. I can't remember it now. Oh, okay. Last thing. Earlier when I was talking about like being too close to the problem, that's something that I need to take some time away from right now. Like I love my family so much. But I am the one in my family. I am the leader in my family. I am the one who I am the most like powerful, the most in tune, the most connected, the most like I'm the leader. And so every problem that they have, it comes to me. And again, like when I'm not feeling the best, it just seems like it can all like come down and it can feel like a lot. And right now that's what it seems like is happening. Like I'm doing the work, getting very, very close to my dreams. I'm getting all the answers to every question that I ever ask. And it's great. I can see the vision coming into fruition. I can see it happening, and it's fucking amazing. And so at the same time, on the other hand, again, like like I know what's happening spiritually. Like every time like you level up or you learn stuff, like you have to use that stuff, And so like just situations are coming up, you know what I mean? Like, and I'll just be transparent with y'all just because I like to make things very practical, but like it's just really annoying when you're trying to achieve your dream and achieve all this stuff and you're spending a lot of your time cleaning up the mess from your parents and the people above you, and you can't focus on what you need to focus on and what you need to do because you're also busy cleaning up that mess. And like yesterday, I got my sister like bombarded me with all these pictures and stuff. And once I figured out what she was talking about, basically my parents are like getting sued for like $7,000 from like some loan they took out 10 years ago. And I was just so frustrated. I was frustrated with so many things, like looking at the text messages. They asked me what it was because no one could read, no one could fucking read. So I'm sorry. And then when I told them, they're like, okay, well, can you like, they're like, okay, cool. So can you tell mom that she owes that? And I'm like, no, this is not my situation. Like you're asking me to do something very difficult. Like this is between my mom and my dad. And you know, it just feels like in those moments that they're just dumping like everything on me. And I don't want to sound like I'm coming from a victim mentality because I'm not. I understand that I'm the leader. I understand that I am the one to solve these problems. I am the only one who can. And so, you know, it's just watching my ego. It's just watching those limiting beliefs, like as they're coming up, like me being frustrated and mad. There's a part of me, if I be honest with myself and have a real transparent moment, there's part of me that's afraid. And that's the part that's out of integrity and out of alignment. And me just, you know, like these situations are just opportunities for me to prove to myself how much I really do believe in myself and in God. And the fact that it isn't all on my shoulders, you know? And so that's kind of like what's going on with me, like in this journey in this book and how it all kind of like relates together as you know, like we do have to have those times, you know, away and to really remind ourselves of our power and our truth. And so I'm really excited, honestly. Like I spend time with my family every weekend because I love them, you know, want to build a relationship and all this stuff. But I really have to rethink that right now because I need to make sure that that doesn't mess with like my vibration and how I feel. Because that's really, really, really important. It's the most important thing. The energy and the vibration in which you do all of these things in is the most important thing. And I'm not going to sit here and I'm sorry, I'm not going to sit here and pass out and stress myself out because in the name of helping my family. Like, no, that's not that. To me, what I like when I sat with myself and I really got down to it, I realized that my stress, me being stressed out, is me thinking that I am the one who has to solve all these problems. And at the end of the day, I'm not doing anything. I'm moving through source. I'm moving through God. And me being stressed out is part of me not believing in my power and who I feel that I am and in God, to be honest. So but I check myself before I wreck myself. Anyways, so that's what I got from this book. Try to go there with y'all, but had to.
No, I appreciate the vulnerability and honestly the transparency. I think a lot of what you said, more people would probably not admit they also feel from time to time. And it's a real situation, you know, especially if you got a big heart and you love your family. So we got you in prayer, girl. We appreciate you, um, opening up about that. And best of luck on your fast. It's gonna be amazing. We'll keep enjoy the presence. It's actually one of the most profound things you can do for yourself, I believe. It's like taking 3 days and literally just cutting everything out and having just you and him time. So that's awesome. Anyways, you can popcorn rub.
Thanks. I'm gonna pick on Patrick next. You're not muted, but we can't hear you.
Okay, this should work. Yeah, sometimes my webcam mic works, sometimes it doesn't. I don't really like sitting with my headphones on. Anyways, I appreciate you, Amber. It's funny to me. I relate so much to that. I have two brothers, and one of them suffers from mental health issues and psychosis issues, and it's very strange, I knowing having a brother, and he was normal, or normal for the first about 24 years of his life, and then is constantly degraded over the past about, I think he's 32, 33, something like that now. So for the past 8 or 9 years, he's actually gotten to a very, very bad point. And you know, you got to let people, just be who they are. And unfortunately, it's like there's a lot of things out of your control. Anyways, and then my older brother is kind of he moved away about 10 years ago. He moved away, and I was the one at home, or back in the home city in Austin. As some of y'all know, some of you might not know, but I was born and raised in Austin, and I spent 37 years there. And just that's who I am. And I always felt like I was the one that needed to carry those burdens. And I was always the one taking care of the family. I always felt like I needed to be there, and I was that one. I'm gonna be the one that, gets our family out of, they're not. Funny thing is like my parents, I don't come from money. But my parents are not, we are not poor. They own two houses, and have a bunch of vehicles. They're not big houses by all means, but they have two houses. There's not many people who could say that. But so I always felt like, though, I was the one that was going to make the biggest impact, and I was carrying so much weight on my shoulders, that I need to um, uh, be that be that person who gets us generational wealth and yada yada. But at the end of the day, um, I made that conscious decision, like you said, to step away. I really needed to. And I felt like that's really what was holding my growth down, And I moved to Colorado in September, like I said, after spending 37 years in Austin, you know, and but I needed to focus on my life, I needed to be able to accomplish things that I wanted to do. And because life just goes it goes by in a blink. um it really does. And I feel like the older you get, the more you realize that. So anyways, I just wanted to share with you specifically that I get it. Those things that you're saying, that resonates with me. And it's funny. So this book I just read, um like Mikkel did. I just finished reading it as we were hopping on this call. Or the first chapter. I didn't even see. I think I heard you say chapters 1 through 3 or something. Oops, whatever. I read chapter 1, and it's so funny because I've said so many times, not just on these calls, but honestly, one of the biggest things that I've heard in the past and my mentors, and really stuck with me, is it's it's impossible for you to see yourself in the picture when you're inside the frame, right? And I feel like this is exactly what was happening to him in this book, right? As a big famous lawyer. And even though sometimes we have glimpses, right? We say, he says, oh, he knows this is bad for him, right? And he knows that he's spiraling, kind of, right? But he continues to do it. Whereas the person who's outside of himself, his partner, right? This younger lawyer guy comes in, right? The picture, and he's like, he sees all of these things happening, right? And he is not inside the picture, but he's outside of the frame and sees all this, the spiraling of this prestigious lawyer, you know, and sees the events leading up to the heart attack. And I think that is really important for like groups such as these because we get outside perspectives of people who honestly do, I feel like, want the better and what's best for us, right? And can at least see those things when we cannot ourselves see those things happening. But as I said, I wrote down, close to the problem, like you were saying, personally. And again, that's a reflection of, when you're inside the picture, this is the full picture. You're inside of it, and it's hard to see yourself inside when you are the one in the picture. Um, so uh, another thing I wrote down is just like this is a big reminder. A lot of us on here, we definitely understand it, and it's kind of our job to preach it or talk about it in outside groups and circles. But honestly, like this is a major, major reminder to the healthy life balance, right? It's not all about just doing this, right? Just working. It's not all about just working, working, working. We tend to, because I'm a very passionate person myself, and I get those days, right? I get those days I look down at my, or look at my clock or look at my phone or look at anything. I got a billion ways to tell time, right? All around me. And I look down and I'm like, oh, I forgot to eat lunch, like, oh, I forgot. It's like next thing I know, it's like 5 o'clock, 7 o'clock PM. And I'm like, man, it's dinner time. Like I totally missed to even eat, lunch and whatnot. So while you're grinding and you're going through life and facing obstacles and challenges and whatnot, you just gotta remember, balance, right? A healthy balance. So I think this book is a good reminder of that. Um, and then also when you were reflecting on, those thoughts, I feel like I definitely relate to that. I'm pretty sure almost everybody does, right? Because I'm reminded of quote. I I don't know. It's probably not from him, but Les Brown talks about it a lot. And he says, it's like the negative thoughts are like weeds, right? All thoughts are like weeds. You don't need to water them for them to grow, right? They just come, right? Thoughts like that. And so that's why we do groups like this. And that's why we look for motivation. It's like bathing, right? That's also something that he talks about. It's like bathing. You have to do it daily, right? To protect yourself and shield yourself from all the negative outside influences that come on a daily. So yeah, um, that's pretty much it. That's what chapter one, those are little things that I think chapter one really reminded me of. It's gentle reminders, right? Subtle reminders. And yeah, so recap, healthy life balance. And then, you know, uh, inside the picture, it's good to have people surround yourself with people to help remind you and show you a bigger picture of things, help to show you ways that, hey, you may not be balancing very healthy, like take that time to pull away, reset and then continue on, right? Um, yeah, so that's pretty much it for me. Uh, let's see, who can I pop to now? Oh, Jason. Aha, Jason. Let's pop to Jason if he's on this call.
Jason might be wrapping up another call.
Oh, okay.
So might
Well,
want
then I'll
to.
go to Arnulfo.
Hey, well, guys. Hope everybody had a great Saturday. So we're multitasking. Got my kiddos trying to get.
Is it just me? No? Okay. Arnolfo, I know you're moving and grooving, bro. I think your area and your signal is not the best, unless you accidentally muted yourself.
Or unless you just left the crib and you still are connected to the Wi-Fi. Neither. He definitely had a
Uh,
bad signal for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely bad signal.
It's all good. Let's go for a third try, Pat.
Okay. Third attempt. Attempt number 3. Let's go for shoot. Let's go for
Sorry,
Mateo.
guys. Y'all hear me?
Oh, he's back. All right. Wait.
Yes, sir.
Sorry about that. I'm over here in the highlands of San Antonio, and I figured I had good reception, but I don't. Hiking a little bit. So real
Oh, good, bro.
quick, yeah. So I was a mechanic for a long time, and I was promoted, and I was a boss man for a while, and I gave all my time and attention to my company, and it burned me out. Not gonna lie, and I understand that sometimes you got to step away from the type of situations with these jobs and careers, and I can completely relate to how he had to just get away and focus on himself. You guys still hear me? Hello?
Yes, sir. We got you loud. Oh, just kidding. I was about to say we got you loud and clear, and then it popped off again. I think I'm gonna just take this moment to fill the silence. Um, what up, y'all? Gang, gang, out the jungle. I'm gonna just go ahead and slide in there till Arnolfo gets back. Ultimately, for me, this 3 chapters and everybody's shares so far this morning definitely been impactful to say the least. Amber, I just want to say to you, girl, don't be afraid to make people learn on their own. It's one of the hardest things that we can do, but truthfully, I literally remember the moment where I had to let my whole family be like, I love y'all, and I'm gonna be here for y'all always, but I need you guys to act like the adults that you are. Period. And I stood on business, and as I stood on business, one of the hardest seasons of my life, no lie. You know what I'm saying? Like, or everybody I grew up with didn't show up to my wedding day. It was one of the hardest seasons of my life. Truly. It's not something that you would ever think in Mikhail, but it happened. And in that season, it honestly forced everybody to grow. And by the time that we did all reconnect, one, there's a whole nother level of respect for Mikhail that is present, which is honestly dope. But also, two, there's a whole nother level of understanding. Like at the end of the day, you're the only one who goes to sleep in your head. So you got to make sure that you're happy, that you're fulfilled, and that you are chasing the things that you want to chase, but you're also taking that time that you want to take. So proud of you, real life, for going through that next season of just like real life solitude. For me personally, this reminded me of me leaving the network marketing industry. It's so funny. I was thinking about dude and like how hard he goes and like he was this hotshot lawyer. I'm like, yo, this was literally me in network marketing. It's crazy. And I just used to work sun up to sundown. Didn't care about it. For a while, it was like an unhealthy grind that I had. And it honestly was because of that season. I just didn't know what to do with myself. I didn't take the time to be like just alone and chill. And in that, honestly, until I went to Bali, like when we went to Asia, I kind of had my moment of just solitude. I literally, there's a whole highlight when I had that moment of solitude, just thinking about my life. But in that, It's necessary. A guy that I follow on the gram, Gerard Adams, just recently did the exact same thing. He went and took a week off, spent it with his coach, disconnected from the entire world. And actually, yesterday, I'm pretty sure it's still in my story, but I shared posts from that exact carousel where he was talking about it. You should high key go read that thing. But it's necessary, you know, and just shout out to all the coaches still seeking coaching because it's real life. We are consistently in this path of development, and there's always a new devil at every single new level. And it gets crazy out here. For me, honestly, as I said, it literally reminded me of my journey with network marketing just because I got to a point where I was not feeling that fulfilled. I was not like I was noticing how much of a toll it was taking on my life. And it was honestly about like 2 years ago that I started to notice. Started to notice how me and my son weren't getting along like that and he was a baby. Then I started to realize how much time I was spending away from my family and actually just building the business. I love everything that we've done with the squad. We've been able to create some amazing stories and an amazing impact. But there was a level of life that I was saying no to, and it honestly is the reason why I started everything. So in that I had to really recognize that and then just get disciplined about taking that time, even if sometimes it hurt my business, sometimes it hurt my pockets. But in that, like sometimes you just literally got to go kick it with your loved ones. Sometimes you got to chill out on all the work and just go and vibe. Sometimes you just, I talked to Marcus about this, like go do something fun, reignite your spirit, like real life. And it's important. And so as I just one recognize like how dude had a heart attack, I'm like, yo, I'm so thankful that we have spaces like this that curate the questions inside of our heads to ask ourselves intentionally so that we can actively make different and better decisions moving forward. It's something serious. And it's honestly what I believe the purpose of life is like one of the purposes. At the end of the day, you're put here to please God and serve people, but also you are included in people. Like, serve thyself and make sure your cup is filled. You know what I'm saying? Real life before you can pour into somebody else's. Because you can't run on empty forever. Even Jesus was overwhelmed with anxiety. Period. That man's literally, he was sweating blood. It's real life. Like, it happens. And in that, what did he do? He went into solitude and actually just did the deep work and the personal work and came out of that solitude a better man. And that's just the reality. So in that, like I wear this hat often. I don't know if y'all can see it, but it's real life. Like all the different titles it says king, father, priest, warrior, husband, man, all in the middle. Because at the end of the day, just like Jesus says, the first shall be last and the last shall be first. None of these titles nor none of these people are above or below. Everybody's literally living this exact same track. And I believe that even in this book, it just reminded us all of our personal journeys of where we've either one, just not focused on self enough, or two, focused on work way too much. And so as I was like reading him going through like the journey of the mountain, the whole nine, I'm like, dude, it's crazy because I remember my season of exploration similar to that. Like as I was trying to learn these lessons, honestly, it was like the summer before I met Marcus. I literally spent every single day, I would drop Tia off at work. This was like 2019. I guess it was 2 years before I met Marcus. I would drop Tia off at work. And every single day in the summertime in Minnesota, I found a new body of water on a map, parked as close as I could, and just started walking. And I did that straight for 30 days. And then from there, after the first 30 days of solitude, I started inviting a new person that I'd never really kicked it with like that or never been on a walk with. And I started inviting them on those walks with me. Shout out Arnolfo taking a hike with his boys real quick, with his kids. But in that, I was doing something similar every day. And it honestly taught me a lot about myself, about the way that I think, about the way that I feel, about the way that I move. And yeah, I mean, those seasons, it's important to take out that time. And I feel that that's really what this book is setting up. Like, yo, all these worldly possessions, all the worldly wealth, everything else, truly, it literally doesn't matter. There was a bar in there that said, at your deathbed, you will not regret the days that you missed at the office. You're going to regret the days where you were like supposed to go to the beach with your family. You're going to regret the days that you were like supposed to go kick it with your kids at the zoo. You're going to regret the days that are like I just wanted to go and kick it with my girl, with my wife. You're gonna regret the days where you could just go on a nice ass walk and have a great conversation with God. So in that, like, it's necessary, and I really believe that that's really what he's setting us up. I'm excited to read the rest of this book because the way that he told the story in such detail, like, literally made me feel like I was there. And I love a book like that. It kind of immerses yourself in your imagination, where at that point, your mind in its freeness can actually express how it's feeling and what it's going through to you in between those lines. So, one lesson I just want to leave everybody with as I close out my share is during this book, don't forget to read to listen rather than just read to understand, like real life, because you got to listen to yourself, you got to listen to your spirit. And usually, what it's telling you is probably right, and you've probably put it off for a little bit amount of time. And either you're going to keep on putting it off, or you're going to do the things that your spirit is actually laying upon your heart. So, with that, just some encouragement to everybody as we go through. Literally read to listen to this thing, listen to your spirit, listen to God, how He's talking to you in the process in between these pages. And I feel that we'll all come out of this book as completely different people. Because what it really just showed me is like, yo, at the end of the day, what is important? And truly, where I've been at in my life recently, like right now, I've really been focused on that. I've been doing a lot of schooling in my coaching program, getting into other different programs, coaching different people. And as I walked through this season, I just realized like, yo, I stopped focusing on the monetary gain and I started focusing on actual fulfillment. And with that, the monetary gain is actually coming way easier than it has for the last 4 years. It's honestly wild. But if you consistently just focus on that fulfillment, focus on your spiritual self, make sure that you're fed and make sure that you're feeding those around you as well. I'm telling you, life can look a lot different and you can do things that truly give meaning. And that's where I'm at in my life. I've just been focused in these spaces. So grateful to have this space with everybody. Grateful to have such a safe space with everybody as well, where we can talk about all the things that are actually on our heart, all the things that are in our past, that are in our present. So yeah, man, I'm just grateful for y'all. Grateful for this book. Shout out Marcus for the plug in real quick. He was like, bro, we should read this one. I was like, bet, why not? I picked the last one, so let's get it. And man, I am grateful. So go ahead, I will popcorn it over to Mateo. Or if Mateo is not free, go ahead and pop it over to Roshizi.
But hey guys, everybody, thank you for sharing. Um, so my perspective about the book, I thought the first chapter was kind of about how it was like the man had everything. Julian was rich, he was a lawyer, very successful, had the home and the car and the this and the that. And to me, it was like having all those things doesn't mean that it's everything. Um, and like, that's what he was, and all the things he had, he almost died because like he wasn't taking care of himself. And so I thought that that was interesting because I don't know, like I can sometimes get wrapped up in just like wanting the material things. And like just to find out that like in this story, like you can have all those things and you could still like he could have lost it all. I mean, he could have lost his life, and then like, what does any of that stuff matter, right? And so when they got into the second chapter and talked about how he went off into the world, or he went to India to go get with himself, Ferrari, right? That was really shocking to his colleague, his younger colleague. Couldn't get a hold of him. Nobody heard from this guy. And so that was, I don't know, that was just like, I guess this is like setting up the story. I really don't have that much to say about it actually, but I'm excited to read this book because I've never heard of it before, and it seems like it's going to be really good. But when they get into the third chapter, talking about the his actual time, Julian's time out in the mystical land of India, he's going to meet a sage in the savannah. I don't know what that means. But I'm guessing they're like a shaman type person or like a very like I don't know, somebody who the man said that I'm gonna teach you what our like ancestors passed down to us. It's like ancestral knowledge of, something like the spiritual stuff that they practice or whatever. And he told him to like the only promise that you have to make to me is that when you go back home to your land, your world in the Western land, like teach everybody this information that needs to know it. And like um yeah, like basically share this with everybody because anybody who deserve or anybody who wants to be free like deserves to be free or something like that. Said that they deserve to like have this knowledge and freedom that you're about to get. So that like I don't know, it feels like they just set it up. So there's not really much to say, but I'm really excited to read this book and see what it has to offer. And that's all I'm gonna say. Cam just got here. You want to go, Cam? Okay, I call him.
Thanks, Roshizi. I appreciate everybody's take on it as well. I just finished wrapping up throughout the book myself in terms of the first three chapters this morning. I've been vibing out with the family and here at the beach this weekend. And I don't know who talked about the days at the beginning of this call. I think it was Mateo and Mikhail, but I definitely feel that, y'all. I shut up on Thursday. I'm usually here on a Friday. And my days have kind of been all whack. I thought it was Sunday when I woke up. I was like, hold on. It is literally Saturday, and I'm excited for book club. Okay, so anyways, y'all, I think it was extremely profound how they started the book. Especially because a lot of us have this idea of like success and what it is we want in our lives. And I think that people should go and pursue that calling because it'll help expose you to who you really are. Like there are a select few that sit in the uncomfortability of the mirror, and then there are a lot more that face that and then they run and they don't continue pursuing it. And that doesn't mean like they don't go achieve their goals. That means they might be continuously living the same lifestyle and habits that we saw this man Julian, who had all the accolades and accomplishments, but was extremely unfulfilled, driven down in terms of energy, in terms of appearance. I believe that I really highlighted it because y'all, I want to be youthful, you know what I'm saying? And I want to be as wise as I can, as long as I can, as the Lord gives me that ability, right? He says, boom. He said he looked like he was 70. It stood out to me too because he had like wrinkles everywhere and he had stress all the time. And essentially he was I highlighted some things from the first chapter. And you could tell that Julian was a very intellectual individual as well. He had mentored our narrator of the book, John, I think his name. Yeah, I think his name is John. I don't know. I can't stand when two main characters have the same first letter because it'd be frustrating me. But I believe it's John. Yep, it's John. Okay, but he had mentored John, and he told this to John, and it stuck out with him through the entirety of him watching his mentor kind of degrade into the heart attack. And he said, sure I am that this day we are masters of our fate, that the task which has been set before us is not above our strength, that its pangs and toils are not beyond my endurance. As long as we have faith in our own cause and an unconquerable will to win, victory will not be denied to us. And the first sentence after that, he said, Julian also walked his talk. I was like, let's go, Julian. You know what I'm saying? I could relate to that, especially since I've learned and I've grown so much. I aim to be in this level of authenticity. But as he was making things aware, where is it at? He said the real problem was that he was obsessed with work, the financial squeeze, on top of being consumed by the hunger for more prestige, more glory, and more money. And he said that he would observe the signs of impending doom, that he was driving himself deeper into the ground and nothing ever satisfied him. It showed emotionally, physically, and spiritually. And I was like, yo, where in my life have I seen that occur? Looking directly under it. His face had a massive wrinkles, so it wasn't like a little bit. He said a lot. So you could tell that it was affecting who he was and how he was. And then it ended up with him having an entire heart attack due to having so much probably cortisol in his system. And cortisol is a direct correlation to stress-induced type of chemical that gets released to help you honestly live. Like it's a good thing to have. The problem that we face in today's world is that we have so much of it and it's constantly being pumped, which is why our body's in like overdrive. Um, whenever you guys, hopefully all of y'all have listened to it at least once, because I know I've talked to everybody about it except for Pat. But I know my guy Pat's pretty wise, so he might have already listened to it. But The Stranger's Secret, right, by Earl Nightingale, he talks about how we live in the age of ulcers. And like ulcers are completely stress induced. It's kind of crazy. And how people literally stress themselves into the grave. I think that wake up call was something that um that wake up call was something that genuinely resonated with me as well as I've been going after it. So unlike Mikhail, you know what I'm saying? I also felt a relatability to the network marketing industry, but in a different light. Like I didn't go and have the levels of success or um I didn't accomplish as much as I was setting myself out to do in that industry. So I was constantly always working towards it because I too felt like, it's got to be somebody in my family, and if no one's going to do it, then I've got to do it. And as I would carry that burden until I fully started walking with God, I was carrying it on my own, and it was a lot. You know what I'm saying? And so much so that as it's kind of this wild, I related a lot to what Amber was saying. Like, I don't think I would ever do it, but I understand that type of darkness and that like mentality of pressure or of disappointment or of grief. We've been through a lot of transformation over the last few years. So in that transitional seasons, I feel like as I have been working towards allowing God to help me, because he's always there, I just had to like let him. I was taking a lot of the responsibility, and I felt that a lot of the stuff that I was doing, like I was grateful and I was excited, and I was like there was some pride there too because we've accomplished a good amount. But no, you know what I'm saying? Like I was definitely not, or I was, that's what I'm looking for. I was definitely not content. I felt like there was so much more that we needed to do. And honestly, I feel like the one of the things that I related to most in chapter 3, and this will help me wrap up my point. Essentially, Julian was explaining to him, right, why he decided to go. And he said, I was determined to find out who I really was and what this life was all about. I had received a command from within, an inner instruction telling me that I was to begin a spiritual voyage to rekindle the sparks that I knew I had lost. And then the next page, he quoted Albert Camus saying that real generosity toward the future consists in giving all to what is present. And that was powerful, right? He goes, my life became so much more simpler and meaningful when I left the baggage of my past behind and I decided to like listen to my heart. So definitely wild how timely this is, right? Especially as I don't know, I kind of feel like I've still got some work to do, but I'm definitely in my quote unquote Yogi Julian era. I've been actually focused on implementing these things, and it's because I'm clear on my mission. And you could tell that, like, as he was going through and he was telling his story of, like, hey, I had to go and figure out and seek. And then I was learning from these guys who were relating to things that I had or that I'd been through in the pain and helping me have a different relationship with my present moment. And then he was able to have clarity on what his purpose is, right? He says, my mission is to serve others and somehow to contribute to making this world a better place. Now I live to give. I share my realizations with all those who come here to pray. I serve those in need. I am not a priest. I am simply a man who has found his soul. Um, I guess I'll be really real with y'all. I don't want to get emotional, but I don't know, having like this internal calling of just not being able to settle and to impact change and to serve and to give to people, man, like it's completely unfair at times, but it's because that calling is yours. And I feel like I've always had this like heart to give and to serve. And now that it's become even more clear on the route in which I can do that, it's been um sometimes extremely lonely or isolating because I feel as though um not as many people are willing to do that in that selfless manner as well. It's just the world we live in, you know? So as I aim to be a catalyst of change and a example of pursuing and operating authentically in that, I have been learning to, as he talked about, just being extremely present and enjoying um stop chasing the big pleasures and begin to enjoy the little ones, right? And y'all, my whole life has been this wild. There's no I call excuse my language, but balance is bullshit. There's no such thing, right? Like you've literally there's never gonna be this amazing sense of balance in your life. You make the most of it. And the way I believe you do that is through prioritization. If you know what's important to you, you know what needs to get done, you know what matters to you most, and you make intentional time for that, you will be more at peace and fulfilled. And I know that whenever I struggled and I focused on my issues at hand and working my tail off to find a solution, the solution didn't appear until I became completely detached from the result. And it's this wild psychological thing that occurs that you have to work yourself through, or you'll never get to the point of true bliss and fulfillment. Because yes, we live in like a physical world, but it's more spiritual than it is physical. And as I've been living in that, I'm grateful. You know, I've been able to, one of the big words that stood out to me throughout the chapters is simple or simplicity, right? I've kept it really dialed down so that I can focus on what needs to get done and I can be present. You know what I'm saying? It's wild, bro. I don't operate the way I used to. A lot of my family is out getting litty. You know what I'm saying? And it's fun. I like having a good time with them too, but I make time for my peace as well. You know, I was up early the last few days just so I could go and get my reading in, to get my journaling done, to go and work out, and not because I have to have this seven-figure daily routine. It's because I know what fulfills and keeps me sustained. And like I understand what I need to do to have, as Mikhail said, like filling your cup as well. And for a long time, I just always sought to serve others. And I've been learning how to ensure that when I serve myself, it's for the benefit of others as well, versus like, oh, I'm this selfish guy. So, yo, this book has been completely eye-opening for me just because I definitely feel like I've been stepping in this season of fully just letting go. Um, I didn't sell all my stuff. You know, God kind of took all of my stuff away from me. But when it separated me from the things that I built on my own accord and forced me to be in solitude of who I am, and what my experience and my understanding and my spirit is trying to help me understand about my relationship with God, it completely allowed me to focus on impact um and on true wealth. Like it's not about the money. It's never been about the money for me. Even though my actions were working towards getting the money in. So yes, I was serving people and that's never changed. But the intention of the purity of how I do things has completely entered a new sense of what I like to feel like confidence, right? I don't know. And then this is what I want to leave y'all with because it was really cool hearing old boy stepping into the office. Like I had a feeling it was old boy, but like I really want y'all to know it doesn't matter what you look like right now or how you feel right now or what you're going through right now. But if you have a healthy relationship of your present moment and you aim to utilize that and to be extremely here right now, right? And doing what you can, having the little conversations with your loved ones, with your people, with your friends, the eye contact, the being there, like all that stuff literally can change not just who you are inwardly, but that also impacts you outwardly, right? He goes, this is how he described him. I really want y'all to like hear that because I think you should aim to be in the same light, right? He goes, he was radiating an abundance of vitality and energy. Does anybody know what the word vitality means? Mikhail, just mute yourself. Unmute. Go ahead.
Life.
Life. Exactly. Of vitality and energy. He said, underlying peacefulness gave him an almost divine presence. Youthful, vital, and smiling model of change. Like these are things that like we've been attempting to help people grasp and understand for some time, right? Tread lightly but make noise. Before you are even seen, you are felt. Before you are even seen in a room, you are felt in a room. And before you even heard, you are completely seen as well, right? Because once they notice the energy and they peep, they're going to see something walk into the room or walking towards them. And I just, I recommend you guys find as much as you can, and regardless of what kind of problems or situations or life you're currently living to this day, to where when you walk in a room or you walk anywhere, it's not just people noticing, it's people are moved emotionally and spiritually. Like, yo, and I say this very humbly, but I know that I've worked on myself for so long and I've entered this season of like absolute peace because I know the promises that my God has for me and how he's literally delivered for me that I know when I enter a room, people notice and people feel it. They can tell how I respond to problems, situations, how I communicate, that I am confident in who I am and that I know what it is that I am doing in this present moment. Right? Because it doesn't matter. We can say where we want to go, but like you don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? Yo, I could pass away before I get home. Knock on wood, it's not gonna happen. But what I'm saying is that I just aim to go and make that to be that model of change. Right? I aim that when somebody sees me, they don't see me fully, they see a light that comes from God. Period. And that's what I work towards. And it's honestly giving me so much more of so much more peace, y'all. Like I feel extremely wealthy and I'm grateful because it's been a long road. And I know there's still, as Mikhail and Amber talked about, as like coaches, like you constantly have to continuously grow in yourself, learning and developing yourself. That never changes. You're never at 100%. But what I do think does occur, like that turn of the page moment, that light switch where it goes from dark to light, is when you find out with extreme clarity your purpose. You know why you're here, what you're doing, and who you're doing it for. And you do that, you'll you'll have the peace, period. And you'll be able to sustain that and not allow it to distract you from the things that matter. Yeah, I am, Lord knows that all I want to do is run the play that we have because it's one of the best plays this whole weekend. You know what I'm saying? And I've made sure to just disconnect. Y'all, yesterday was really cool. This is the last thing I'll say. Yesterday was really cool. I had all my family and all my peeps under one roof. We had this crazy cookout. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go check out the story. It was really freaking fire food. All right. We had ribeyes, mashed potatoes, there was loaded, little mac and cheese and Caesar salad. Like we were in there. Not all of us, exactly. But in terms of like my immediate family, it was really cool to just be there, you know, and there are plenty of times where I wanted to work on my content or I wanted to develop some messages and blast them out on DMs so I could help people learn and grow. But I had a dream not too long ago, and this dream was very vivid and very clear. And Mikhail added another perspective towards it. But I really do feel like God's about to blow things up an extreme amount of proportion where, you know, not everybody can come with us and the family understands and they're clear, but I still got to go and get it anyways. And as I do that, I know it's for them. And I was able to be very, very, very present this weekend, y'all, having conversations with each of my sisters, having conversations, spending time with my brother. Um, it's crazy what God be doing, y'all, because when I come out here, it's probably like for 2 days, and it's usually just for my dad's birthday. You know what I'm saying? So not everybody's out here like that. And I really think everything happens for a reason, as the yogi was telling him, right? Everything is purposeful and there's a meaning behind it. So I've been just really present because I know we're about to what we're stepping into and how we're moving. It's going to be an extreme amount of abundance, and we're going to be able to do a lot for a lot of people. But that requires a little season of extreme focus, right? And I still make time and I still make myself present. But these type of moments, these type of weekends, these type of I call them my self deposits, right? Like, all right, let's put a little bit in the tank for me. Yo, it just fuels the fire and it allows me to have extreme clarity. I appreciate everybody with their cameras on too. That's why I got a little emotional. Like I'm talking to my people. But I appreciate y'all as well because in the midst of being with my family, you know, Roshizi girl, I've always got you in prayer. But like being able to be there for each other, she just called me. She was like, "Hey, bro, I just need a little prayer real quick." I was like, "Bet." You know what I'm saying? I was busy at the time. We were chopping up back and forth until she called me and we were able to have a whole conversation. But like we're really here for one another and we understand the purpose behind it. And y'all, the only reason why I can sustain it despite not being exactly quote unquote where I want to be is because God really blesses me with those moments of presence that fuel my soul, that fuel my spirit. And it doesn't happen unless you're intentional. So go do something fun, be a vibe and enjoy a joy to be around with other people. And like don't forget that you're actually living a life and it's so valuable, it's priceless. You know what I'm saying? So my fault. I know I talked y'all's ear off, but I genuinely, y'all, I resonated a lot with these 3 chapters, and it's crazy how much the Lord is doing. So y'all buckle up because as we get into this next season, I really do think, as Mikhail said, it's gonna be a profound impact as we all implement the things we're learning and what God is telling us to our spirit. But anyways, with that being said, I will pass this thing to Mateo or Cam.
I'm not sure if Cam can hear. Cam, are you there, bro?
Yeah, I'm here.
Awesome, brother. Yeah, I think the squad would love to hear from you, bro, if you're down to go first. Um, I'm just sitting here with my coffee. Feel me? I got my notes, but it's a pleasure to see King Raiden on again. So, you want to go, bro?
Yeah, I'll talk about this one part that I'm reading right now, and it's really interesting. Um, it's in chapter 3, and he's speaking of like he's Julian is speaking to this former lawyer and talking about like his own story and everything, and how he explained how his hunger for wealth and obsession with work was and how he had his experience and essentially made the trek over to towards the Himalayas and everything. And he says, I too have walked this path, my friend. I too have felt the pain you have felt. Yet I have learned that everything happens for a reason. The like that hit a little close to home for me just because of everything that I'm going through right now. I have like five people that call me on a daily basis that are just like, yo, I've been through what you're going through right now. You need to do this, and this, and things will work in your favor. And just looking back at how the past 3 weeks have been for me because of everything that's gone on, and because I kind of chose to just turn off all of like my own thoughts and listen to the elders and the people that have like my best interest at heart. Simply by doing that, I've literally gotten, I guess, stable, if that's for lack of a better word. And it just resonated with me just because like a lot of the people that are like telling me what I should be doing and everything like that, like of course you're supposed to live your own life and everything and take advice from people and use that advice to your advantage to get to where you want to go. I'm hard-headed, so it takes me a while sometimes. But this time I kind of genuinely just chose to like turn all internal emotions, internal thoughts off and just run the play as it's offered to me and at all costs execute, I guess. And because of that, things are working out. And one of the things that my dad told me to do, and I think this man has been telling me for the past 10 years to do this, is get really, really good at forgiving people. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm still working on it, but it's a work in progress because I'm a lot like I don't feel as much of a heavy weight on me anymore. So that's all I really wanted to talk about because I'm just finishing up chapter 3. Um, but yeah, I appreciate the vibes, y'all.
Of course, brother. That was fire. I'm not gonna lie to you. I relate as well, brother. I'm not gonna lie to you because there's been several times in my life where, like Marcos was saying, bro, it's like, yeah, proud of you, fam, for real. Um, where I don't sell everything I have, but God just kind of takes it. And it's like, whoa, I didn't ask for this necessarily, but we did because at the end of the day, our actions are going to be exactly what make the consequences in our life. And with that being said, I feel like taking full accountability and full responsibility is what's really made the biggest difference for me. Um, I'm gonna open my notes real quick for this book because I want to stay structured. So, the wake up call is chapter 1, where this dude, right? He's got luxury cars, he's got everything, fame, success, right? Super successful in all the materialistic worldly ways. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it shouldn't come at the cost of your health, your peace, your purpose, your fulfillment, right? I know what it's like to have success in a materialistic way because I was there before and I didn't have that same success in my personal life as I did in my materialistic life. And it really woke me up to how fragile materialistic success can be. Um, and like at the end of the day, your your work, your success materialistically has to be fueled by something greater. Because if it's not, then you're essentially building house on a sand or a house on sand, essentially, instead of on a rock. And the reason I say that is because in the chapter 1, one of the biggest things I wrote down is external success without internal fulfillment leads to burnout. I've also heard for lack of a better phrase as well, Marcos, from what you said, balance is bullshit, but also burnout is bullshit. Like if you have purpose, you're not going to get burnt out. Like there's no such thing as burnout. When you're moving in faith and purpose and fulfillment, you aren't, that's a flame that never extinguishes. So when you are extinguished like that, recognize that it's coming from a place of temporary fulfillment. And that this is something as well that I've realized actually very recently is that um, when we sin, it's a result of our actions or something that we don't do, right? There's things that we do, there's things that we don't do. And that's those things, the definition of sin, in my opinion, is something that takes you away from God. Because God cannot be in the presence of sin, right? So when you sin, you're essentially doing something or not doing something that takes you away from Him. And when you do that, He forgives us every single time, obviously. He's all gracious, which is amazing, right? And there's sometimes when we don't really like take that to heart and we're like, oh, like, okay, we sinned, great, you forgive me. Now what? Like, so what, right? Like you forgive me. Ooh, it's not like it like in our minds, in our human minds, we're like, yeah, you forgive me, but like I want to change. Like that's not the point. I don't want to just sin and have you forgive me. That's not like what I'm trying to. And the reason that you don't care, or I, for example, for like to put it on myself, I don't care, is because there's a big difference between wanting to be righteous, wanting to be God, and wanting to be like God. There's a very big difference there. And the goal is to want to be like Christ, right? It's not to be Christ. And when we're chasing these things in life to be righteous and to be doing everything right, be super successful, that's chasing our own righteousness. We're not supposed to be chasing our own righteousness. We're supposed to be chasing something that is reflective of the righteousness that we were created from, right? And that we were made in the image of. So, with that being said, if you're spiritually empty, then the things that fulfill you will fade like a tree in the fall time, right? Like a rose or like a flower, it fades and it shrivels up and it dies. That's human life, and that's human success as well. And we're chasing things and not chasing because what you chase runs away. We're attracting things that are very, very much more long term and much more fulfilling. And with that, on to chapter two, after he disappeared, obviously he shows up to John's house, shows up to his lawyer, right? He's all better. He's young. He's not young, but like he's got that like young heart in him, right? I wrote down young, but like it's a phrase of like young at heart. Like you ever meet an old person and they're just like they act like a 25-year-old, but in reality they're 75, and it's like wow, like what? When did you stop growing, bro? And it's like they didn't. That's the whole point. Because when you have a certain amount of personal development, you don't let the you don't let the excitement die. I think Mikkel was the one that told me that whoever stays excited the longest is the one that wins. And we just have to keep that attitude. So a big part of it in selling his possessions, right? When he literally completely changed his life. He literally flipped upside down in everything that he was doing before. He was completely unrecognizable, like different person. And the whole point of that is that lasting change often requires a radical break from old habits and environments. I'm no stranger to changing my environment radically in a very big way. Like I literally booked it from Michigan down to the other side of the country with $100. Didn't care that I wasn't guaranteed a future. Best decision I ever made. For real. That was a yeah, bro. Literally, I would do it again, but my my mission is different this time. I'm not trying to leave Michigan to just leave the state. I have a bigger thing in mind. And nowadays it's something that I'm doing my best to really try to see and understand how I can change my environment and change old habits because I realize the level that I'm trying to move at, and I'm sure, like Marco said, the level of blessings that we're preparing to reap, we have to sow that much differently, right? And something that I've come to terms with as well over the past few months is that we're not entitled to our dreams. I feel like a lot of the times we can get caught up in, oh, God promised me this, like I'm gonna get it no matter what. And it's like, no, there's blessings bountiful in heaven of things that people never got from the promises that God made them because they were not obedient and they were not disciplined on the level that was required for God to be able to trust them with the things that He wanted to give them. And I'm not gonna live a life like that where I could just go and I'm just gonna go to heaven one day and see the life that I could have lived. I don't want to live that life. I do not want to live that life. And that's something that's motivated me more than ever is that God is very, very generous and He will bless you beyond your wildest imagination. But you just have to show Him that you're not deserving of it, but you are, what's the word I'm looking for? Because we don't deserve it. We, even though you have to earn it.
Prepare.
Prepared. Yeah, I like that. I like that. Thank you, Jason. Prepared. Because with preparation comes the opportunity to take hold of the blessings, right? You have to be prepared to keep it, not just hold on to it. God doesn't want to give you blessings that you're not prepared to keep. Unless He wants to just teach you a lesson, in which case He'll give you something just so you lose it. I've experienced that before. I've been giving something greater than like I've been given something most people don't even believe in, and that's true love. And I lost it for a short time. And that's because I wasn't prepared to keep it and I wasn't preparing to maintain it in the moment because for several reasons. But essentially now I'm in a period of point in my life where I really do have the opportunity that a lot of people don't ever get, which is a second chance at something that they lost. And it's very humbling. So chapter 3, the transformation that comes with changing your environment, changing your habits, right? Leaving behind your old life of nice things. Like I'm sure the first few weeks in India, he missed ripping his Ferrari down the street. Like he probably was like, "Damn, I wish I could drive right now." When he was trekking barefoot through the mountains, he was like, "Yeah, I miss my air conditioned car." Like, wow, why am I doing this, right? But those things about being innerly fulfilled, being healthy, being filled with purpose, it requires a season of being uncomfortable. It requires a season of being of leaving comfort behind. And that's the whole point. Like if we're not willing to get uncomfortable, that we're never going to grow. And that's something that I feel like um a lot of people, myself included, don't give enough thought or consideration because it sounds all good and fancy and nice to like want to change, right? It's like, oh, we're gonna make a change, everybody, woo, right? But nobody's very few people. I'm not gonna say nobody because we're the type to really cheer in the trenches, right? That's what's so great about this community that Mikhail and Marcos have built is that we're the type to actually keep cheering in the mountains when we're walking through and our feet got blisters. Like we're that way. And that's what's required. And it's not anything to like blow over. Like I had a phone call actually during Book Club. I was called up by a person who I've been meaning to talk to for a few weeks now. I actually got invited out to New York to speak at his event. He threw an event in New York City on July 12th that I didn't make, and 7 days with little food and water. Yeah, literally, fasting is a practice that God actually encourages um, to be able to separate the humanly desires from being able to get closer to God. It's an intentional form of suffering we can create. I like that. Um, But essentially, I got a phone call from a person during book club. It was about probably like 30 minutes ago or so. And this person he wanted to call me up after I missed his event to kind of just check in with me, right? And something that he told me is he just kind of walked me through the success that I've had before. And he's like, Mateo, have you ever reached a six-figure income? And I said, yes. I was making 5 figures a month last summer. June, July, August last year was probably the best months of my life. And he said, okay, what'd you do before that to put yourself in that situation? And I said, I grinded with little to no results for like 8, 9 months straight. And he said, exactly. How focused were you? I said, I was dead focused. I was not doing anything else. I didn't have anything. I didn't have any side hustles. I didn't have any like extra opportunities I was trying to take advantage of. I was literally just dialed in. And he was like, yeah, it's going to take that same level of focus. It's going to take that same amount of time. And unless you can pour money into it, which that's a whole other conversation, because I tried pouring money into it to take a shortcut this time around. It didn't work. We can talk about that later, but long story short, I think that rushing the process and trying to get that level of fulfillment, getting that level of health, and getting that level of transformation that requires self-discovery, um, is something that requires a lot of uncomfortableness. It requires a lot of focus and it requires a lot of working through the difficult times with no promise. Like literally, like there's no promise of when it'll happen, when you'll break that. It could happen in 8 months. It could happen in 5 years. It could happen in 10 years. You have no idea. God, it'll take as long as what it needs to for you to become the person that is the type to sustain and build and maintain and grow the level of success and fulfillment and legacy that you're working towards. And I'm not sitting here trying to like conquer a country. I'm not like doing that. So I don't think it's going to take me 5, 10 years, but it's definitely going to take me a little longer than what I expected because I underestimated the season of um what's the right word I'm looking for? It requires a season of work, for lack of a better word, just freaking work, like literally. And that comes with a certain amount of uncomfortableness, um, that most people quit. Most people quit. And they'll quit like five. The crazy part is they'll actually quit like 5, 6 months in when if they would have just kept going for another couple of months, they would have hit it. They would have hit the gold. That's why there was a whole book that was written on this. I think it's like 3 feet, 5 feet from gold, something like that. And it's ironic, but it's so true. And you just have to tell yourself delusionally that you're always just 3 feet from gold. Even if you dig another 500 feet, it's always just 3 feet away. Because one day it will be. One day it is, and you have no idea when it will be. You could be literally winning. You could start winning on Monday, and then by next week, Sunday, you will be one of life's winners. That's how fast it can happen. And I know that because I've literally experienced it. Imagine being broke for 3 months straight after starting a new venture, losing your apartment, losing everything that you set out to get, and then finally hitting a level of success barely big enough to like pay your rent and groceries. And then after doing that for like 4 or 5 months straight, all of a sudden you start making more than your mom does when she's been working as a nurse in a hospital for like 20 years. I go from like barely making enough to provide for myself and my girl to then making more than what like an adult would after getting a degree. In a matter of like a couple weeks, that switch just switched. And that's how fast that happens, guys. And we have to give ourselves the time to let that come the right way because you can't expect it to come on its own. It's not going to happen on its own. It's not going to happen on its own. It's going to happen as a result of you intentionally with extreme amounts of focus that most people can't sustain, let alone like actually achieve for God knows how long. That's the thing. We just have to move in faith. Size of a mustard seed, right? And you just gotta work to the size of your faith that you are holding for the level of blessings that you're hoping to receive. Because faith without works is dead. So there's that level of sacrifice and uncomfortableness that we have to go through. And when he was out in India, that was no light work. That was no light work. He was out in India. He was probably in the trenches. I can't wait to read more of this book to actually hear what he was doing out in India because there's probably going to be some hard things he endured in India that are no laughing matter, right? Like I'm sure sitting in a circle going with incense, like That wasn't all that, right? Like that's good because that requires him to silence his busy mind that he probably had when he was in the Ferrari, when he was doing all the crazy success, right? But like that silence that is very loud when we start separating ourselves from the things that are the noise that keeps us distracted in the stimulation of success with quotation marks because we're trying to get something different than what the world speaks to us about. That silence that's very, very loud in these parts of the grind, um, that's when you can really hear God speak the most, I think. So with that, I'll end it off. Um, yeah, I mean, honestly, one more thing I'll say is like you have to learn to let, this is one thing I wrote down too. I didn't really say, but you have to let go of your old identity. And that's probably one of the most uncomfortable things we can do. I know that if you're trying to like, for example, stop smoking, I haven't smoked in months, like probably close to like probably 7, 8 months now. No longer. I haven't smoked since last year. So the only way to really do that is just to put an identity on yourself that you are not a smoker. There's no other way to do it. Because unless you say, I'm not a smoker, I'm not somebody that smokes, you will always find yourself going back eventually, right? And it's not anything to like share the file in the meeting. Oh, cool. 13 chapters.
Um, Sorry, I just wanted to send this before we got off, but I made
Oh, you're
the
good.
study guide for us. I made this for myself earlier. Like, this is the way that I learn. And as I was doing it, I was like, everyone needs to read this. It was really good. But then I just extended it to the rest of the book. So it's just a companion guide to this book. So,
You
like,
made this?
yeah, I just made this right now.
Wow. That's fine.
Yeah. Um, so yeah,
That's awesome. Thank you for that.
I get to y'all. It has some really good questions in there as well.
That's so cool. Huh. Look at that. That's so cool. Hell yeah. Thank you, Amber. That's the
Hey,
whole
Mikhail, if you can download that and throw it in the book club,
I
bro,
wrote
literally.
put
it
you
to
on your
convert
computer.
it to like a different type of document in a PDF because it's in a Word doc, but I got you. I already did.
Okay, boom. Bet.
Nice.
Fire.
Yeah. But that was it for the most part. You just have to really step into a new identity that you're gonna feel unqualified for at first. Like when you stop smoking and you get an urge and you're like 2 days, 3 days, 4 days into it, maybe a couple weeks, and you're like, oh, like, what am I telling myself I'm not a smoker for? I'm a smoker. I want to smoke right now. You gotta keep yourself like, no, like be delusional at first. And it's okay to be a little bit delusional at first because you're uncomfortable in the new identity that you are adopting. Oh, Jason. Oh yeah, whoa, has Jason not gone yet? Okay, word. Yeah, I'm gonna pass it to you, bro. Yeah, take it from
Yeah,
here. I'm
sorry.
just
I was on a call at the beginning, bro. I was getting some thing, bro. So many documents, bro. It's ridiculous.
yeah, I believe it.
Okay. But yeah, I'm just gonna keep this short and sweet because I know that like Marcus, I'm just playing, blame it on him, goes for a while. But hey, bro, you know what I'm saying? When we're in tune, we're in tune. So chapter one, from what I got, I haven't yet received the book in the hard copy yet, but I have been like scanning through the PDF and stuff. But so chapter one was pretty much a wake up call. And what I've got from that is the dude Julian, he's a very successful lawyer, but at the same time, he's also a spiritually bankrupt lawyer, right? And he suffers a heart attack and he has divine interruption pretty much from like God. And the a moment of where the illusion of you being in control actually shatters, right? And I'm pretty sure a lot of that happens. Like as soon as I got out of like my apartment and things like that, I noticed that like the Lord really gave me things and he was like, here, like you're ready for it. You're ready for it. Here, you can have this. You're ready for it. But then he also on the back end gave me things that I wasn't prepared for. Like I'm always at a Amber, you were talking about it at the beginning. I'm always at a standstill when it comes to family. You know what I'm saying? Have a good one, Roshizi. Thank you for being on the call. I always have like my heart pulled when it comes to family because I hate seeing myself do better than them, but at the same time I don't because it's just like I'm doing things that you're not. You know what I mean? And it's so hard to come up with a thing like here. I'm gonna be very transparent because I love y'all and I know that like, you know what I'm saying, we can speak some real deal on here. My older brother Justin, he was like my father figure growing up, but he took the same thing my father out. He went to prison. He does all kinds of stuff, and right now he's literally just jumping hotel to hotel, like. But he's doing his best to try to get on his feet. You know what I'm saying? So like every now and again, I help him. My older sister Jennifer, she also they both have like three kids each. You know what I'm saying? And she's in prison. You know what I'm saying? So like it's a lot on my brother-in-law who has all three of them. You know what I mean? So like I do my part where I can, but at the same time, not my responsibility. I'm sorry, but it's not mine. You know what I mean? It's not my responsibility. I didn't make those decisions. Y'all did. Right. And then I also at the end of it, I have a dad who's still on drugs and he's like 50 something and he's homeless. You see what I mean? It's just like I have uh all these heart tugs on my life that I'm just like, do I make a decision to where I financially bankrupt myself to help them out, knowing that there's going to be no fruition to it? Because I mean, granted, I've tried in the past to help and I put myself in bad situations, you know what I'm saying? I put myself in the pulpit and I'm just like, I'm not seeing no fruit to this. So it's just like, do I feel bad for it or do I just keep pushing, right? And it's just like at that point, the spiritual truth kind of comes out to it. It's just like I'm in a crisis, right? And I'm just trying to figure out what awakening God is trying to have for me in this thing. So like I think about it of like spiritual breakthroughs, right? Like Christ-centered parallels is just like the prodigal son, right? Julian reaches a pigsty moment in his life. His like even your success can't save you, meaning all these things that I'm going through, just because I'm being successful, it doesn't stop everything happening in my background in my life, right? It's kind of like a did you raise your hand? Did somebody raise their hand? It's kind of like I can't I can't just because of my success, it's not enough success to take care of them as well. You know what I mean? I just have the success that God given me to take care of me and my wife. And it's hard for me to draw that fine line, but that line needs to be drawn, right? In the sand, right? But at the same time, we also have God's mercy in those crises. Yeah, bro, right? It's a good one. God has mercy in these crisis moments, like what may appear as a breakdown, because there's many times where we catch ourselves crying and we just don't know what to do, or like even when we have each other, it's just like we know even ourselves on book club, we can't help one another when it truly comes to like eternalness because you can only go to the one who made you for that. You see what I mean? So it's just kind of like, even though it appears as a breakdown in spiritual, it's a breakthrough, right? Initiated by God to realign us back with our eternal purpose. You know what I'm saying? That's pretty much like the whole thing of like going through it, going through it, going through it. And like, you just have to figure out which parts, like, are you ignoring God? Like, are you being still? Like, are those actual small voices of noise, pride, or even busyness? You know what I'm saying? Like, in a sense, like what Ferrari are you putting in your life? You know what I mean? Like, what Ferrari are you putting above God? And it doesn't necessarily have to mean a car. It could be like anything. Like, who are you putting? What are you putting? When are you putting before God? You know what I mean? And those where you'll have like which leads perfectly into like chapter 2, right? The mysterious visitor, right? But back with one, it reminds me of in the Bible verse, chapter 1. What good is it for someone to gain the world yet forfeit their soul? Right? So that's where the end of chapter 1, the wake up call. Chapter 2, it says, do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth, but store up yourself treasures in heaven. Right? So all these things, Julian, he then reappears, he's transformed, right? And people are noticing that. What did he do? He sold all that he owned, right? He went east searching for a higher meaning, right? Does this not represent biblical discipleship? Does the Lord not call you in Matthew 28:19 to make disciples of all nations? All nations, meaning we not should just be focused on us, but we should focus on as many people who are willing to learn the truth. You know what I mean? To actually dive in to make themselves better, not for them just themselves, but for everybody around them, right? So Jesus himself called a young rich ruler. I'm pretty sure y'all remember the story where he's like, you need to sell everything, you need to follow him, right? Most won't, but those who do usually find treasure. Shout out to Mateo with the little gold reference if you just keep digging, right? Because going through that fire, that's what a fire does. A fire burns. You ever have your hand on thing, made marshmallows or anything like that? A fire burns. And sometimes when the Lord takes that coal off that altar and he puts it on your mouth, you can speak things with authority. When he puts it in your head, you understand that Christ is sovereign. You can speak, you can think with authority. And then eventually when you move it in your spirit, you're walking in authority, right? That's how people notice it. That's why Marcus, when he steps into a room, it's noticed. That's when Amber, when she speaks, people listen. That's why, like, you know what I'm saying? Like when Mikhail talks about his life, it's very impactful to others. Is because there's an anointing with the authority that you have, but you have to actually go through the fire. You have to be burned from that. It's not just, it's like you have to be burned to earn. You know what I mean? In a sense, right? So like you can't have your false security of wealth because we often cling on to material success. I truly believe sometimes that like if the Lord wanted to, he can make a storm come and blow my whole house away. But that's just because if he has that authority, right? But we often have a false sense of security in our house. Like, oh, I feel safe here, but like you're not. You know what I mean? Like, and it's like having those little bit of just tweaking your mind of like everything good and bad does come from the Lord, but like we should be on his good side. You know what I mean? We should definitely be on his good side, right? And spiritual poverty is what leads to your true riches. Meaning the ones who have done the worst and who've been through the worst are usually the ones that love God most. Why? Because they have a bigger forgiveness, they have a bigger debt, right? He talks about it a lot. He's like, if you owed someone $1,000, but you also owed someone else $100,000, if somebody forgives you, if they both forgive you, who are you gonna actually care about more? You're probably gonna care about the person who forgave you for $100,000, right? Same thing with God. That's the reason why when he pulls people out who have done a lot of wrong and things like that, he pulls them and he's like, you know what? I'm pulling him because I know he's going to love me because he sees what I did for him or she sees what I did for him, right? So, application, recognize who you want to be in your life and what would you ask them? Like, what would you ask certain people that you actually know? You know what I mean? That want to be better, but don't really know how to. You know what I'm saying? Like, how have you counted what it's going to cost to actually go after your calling? You know what I mean? And chapter 3, the miraculous transformation of Julian, right? Marcus always says this one all the time. Romans 12:2, right? Do not conform with the patterns of this world, be transformed by the renewing of your mind, right? So this is just a spiritual truth. This reflects the sanctification journey, like what he goes through. Like we're called to be renewed daily in the mind and spirit, right? That's Second Corinthians. So in Julian's transformation through rooted in the practices that he had in the East, right? It echoes. It echoes, meaning it's echoing to walk in the spirit. If you can see that someone who was successful had a crazy thing happen to where he had a heart attack, a life or death experience, willing to throw everything away and then comes back in peace, that should be echoing. That should be like your spirit should be moved in a way of like, what did you do? How did you do it? How did you lose everything and come back like that more better? There has to be something in your spirit that tells you there's truth in it. That's the only way to look at it, right? He says, Jesus says, believe. Did Jesus ever say, believe in me and stay the same? No, he said, follow me. Do things that are different. Change your life. Change your life and do stuff and have a life of true disciple time, training, and dependence on him, right? Julian does what a lot of us here are Christians do, right? He retreats into a silence and stillness, meaning the Lord says, go into the closet, close the door and spend some time with me. That's pretty much the same. Christ always withdrew. Sometimes you're in a season of wilderness in the wilderness, you know what I'm saying, praying for rain. Sometimes it rains too much. But through Christ, you're going to be able to align yourself, right? Are you seeking transformation or are you seeking comfort? Right? Exactly. Are you seeking the transformation or are you seeking comfort? Do your habits reflect someone conformed of the world or being transformed by Christ? Right? So through it all, I'm just gonna have like this is the last part. Like this is the worldly like Ferraris. I was like making little notes. The worldly Ferraris and internal truth in Christ. All right. So success, surrender. Success, worldly. Surrender is spiritually, right? Wealth, worldly. Wisdom, spiritual, busyness, worldly, stillness, spiritual, power, worldly, purpose, spiritual, reputation. That's a worldly thing. Righteousness, it's a spiritual thing, right? So that's pretty much that's pretty much I have what I have all for it. I'm waiting for my hard copy though, you know what I'm saying? I'm excited for it. But just from listening to y'all, this just shows that how much y'all have actually been diving in and reading, because a lot of these notes that I've taken while I was on the phone call and stuff like that was simply from just digesting what y'all said and things that y'all been through. You see what I mean? And it's just like the spirit was also talking to me, because through all of y'all's situations and problems that y'all accomplished and achieved and went through, it was able to help me have a little bit of basis on what we're doing here. You see what I mean? And we're doing a great job here. I'm very proud of all of us. You know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up. I know we were supposed to be done 90 minutes ago, and I'm sorry about that. But shout out Marcus. Shout out the squad. We're here. You know what I'm saying? Happy Saturday. Go ahead, right back to you, bro.
Hey, much love, bro. Shout out everybody on this call and the value you guys literally snapped in terms of y'all being transparent, vulnerable, and authentic. And literally y'all's stories not only inspire me, but I promise y'all, the people in y'all's networks, the people that you associate with, the people that are looking towards you, your family, your loved ones, they see that stuff too. So continue being a light in that regard. And I'm grateful that I am surrounded by people like yourselves who are just showing up. You know what I'm saying? Rosisi, I know you catching the recording. You too, girl. But there are a lot of people who aren't here right now. And in that, it's because a lot of people are aiming or seeking elsewhere versus seeking, hey, let's find the solution inward so that we can impact the outward. And that's where it really happens. So kudos to you guys. I'm always going to give y'all flowers for that. And I appreciate y'all helping co-create an amazing environment like this and an ecosystem where we can all develop and become a better version of ourselves. With that being said, next week we are covering chapters 4, 5, and 6. 4, 5, and 6. All the chapters are lined out and prepped for, I believe, the next 4 weeks. So we should be done with the book come the beginning of September. Yep, the beginning of September. If y'all would like, you know what I'm saying, it's something like throughout your reading in the week really stands out and there's something that you need to say, y'all utilize the book club group right on the app. If you go to the network page, there's an entire book club group there. That's where I post all the information for the new books with the links and how to buy it, the audios. But it's really designed to be a whole discussion. No one ever posts in there though. You know what I'm saying? You could literally just go back and you'll see me posting all the books. So it'd be cool if y'all ever got anything that's like really major and you want to throw it in there. That'd be really cool. But if not, it's all good. It serves its purpose, and I appreciate you guys purposefully being in purpose on purpose. I love y'all. God bless, and as always, we'll see you at the top. Peace, fam.